Welcome back for another episode of Unboxing the Hoard. Tonight I have a very special lineup for you of premium set figures from the Icons of the Realms. We have the Icons of the Realms Monster Menagerie 1 Treant premium set figure. I also have the Monster Menagerie 3 Kraken and Rowboat premium set figure. As well as a different style, but still very cool, Hallister's Lab premium set from the Dungeon of the Mage Waterdeep Icons of the Realm series. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off with the earliest release of these three premium sets, and that would be the Monster Menagerie 1. So this Treant figure was the premium set release for the fourth set from the Icons of the Realm, which was the first Monster Menagerie. So, as many of you fans of D&D probably know already, a lot of the monsters and different lore was pulled from all different types of fantasy books, movies, things like that. Lore that was already established in different forms. One of those huge influences was the Tolkien universe, being, the Lord of the Rings series was a huge influence on a lot of fantasy writers back then, and D&D was no different. So things like Ents from that world were brought over, but unfortunately, or due to copyright reasons, they had to switch the names. So the Ent became the Treant. And this is one of the early set figures, like I said, for the premium sets, and right away you see why it is so loved in the community. I can tell even without taking it out of the package here that it's super detailed. Looks like the tree is in motion, possibly walking. It comes with a little, what looks like a little stone, probably to hurl at invaders of their forest. So let's see if I can get this out of here without too much trouble. Okay, so yeah, this is the Treant. Right off the bat, I love the mossy, lichen style beard. It has little fungi, little mushrooms growing along the feet, moss growing up, the grooves of the bark-like skin. Looks like he might have been topped at one point. But very, very beautiful. Very well detailed. So many different things popping out at you here. There are those mushrooms I was talking about that kind of line the base. It's got a little bit of moss growing on it there, all the way up the back. And you can see that the beard just kind of perfectly accents that face. There's more of the green growth along the back here, and you can even see all the detail and the different ridges. The trees sticking at the top, hair-like. Very beautiful miniature, very formidable enemy. There's actually an encounter on D&D Beyond that has dryads kind of defending the forest and using their tree meld to kind of take control of these old trees and kind of taking the form of these treants. So I'm very happy to add this to my collection, and possibly going to be running an encounter similar to that, depending on how things play out in some of my campaigns. So that's cool, and they do have the rock here. We'll see if that can actually fit in somewhere here, if it's more of just a accent to the base. One thing I want to try to get into is maybe decorating the bases of some of these miniatures. I've painted a couple now with my wife, and the base is just the thing that kind of lack any luster. And I've seen quite a few people on the internet do different cool things, just add like sand or rock style things to add a little bit of flavor to the base. So the next one I'm actually going to jump into is not going to be the large Kraken, which I am anxious to get to, but I'm going to go ahead and open up the Hallister's Lab premium set. So from what I understand, there's not necessarily a room like this within the campaign at all, but these can definitely be used to make any wizard's room or any any room that your characters or your players are going to be running into seem a little bit more useful and seem a little bit more real, like, you know, they've actually been used for something. So just to list off a few of the things here before we crack it open. So there's a few corpse, there's a bookshelf with a dragon skull, large standing towel, ghost lantern, summoning circle, Baylor claw. Here's a very interesting one. The hand and eye of Vecna. They also have a pseudo dragon on perch, giant hourglass, book pile, familiar cage, Hallister's wardrobe, wizard's table, inactive shield guardian. So they got this whole kind of room filled out with all these cool little odds and ends, some very powerful items in the D&D lore. Obviously one of those being the hand, or two of those being the hand and eye and Vecna. Not an item you would likely want to give your party necessarily, or not one that they would probably hold on to for long. Because even if they were to come into possession of it, there's many powerful characters and beings that would want to come and take that from your party. So the Dungeon of the Mad Mage was kind of a follow-up to the Waterdeep Dragon Heist campaign, just in the sense that, like, it lines up with the Dragon Heist being levels 1 to 5, and Dungeon of the Mad Mage kind of taking you from 5 all the way up to, I believe, level 20. It's not necessarily a campaign your characters are gonna run through and complete every nook and cranny, every dungeon, every floor, anything like that, but they may eventually find themselves at the in an audience with Hallister himself, and you may want to have them in a room with all these cool little odds and ends to kind of just really fill out the room. But of course, like I said earlier, it can be really used in any dungeon or room, just to add a few things for your characters or your players to go check out. No, I apologize. Making so much noise here. So, the first one I was able to get out of here pretty easily was, I believe, the Baylor claw, which, if I show you this, is so cool. The hand sticking out of this kind of spectral base here. I'm not too sure what kind of you know, magical display table they have here for it, but just a nice little red clawed hand with a little silver gauntlet on there, or bracer I should say. Pretty cool detail. Again, interesting thing just to kind of have for your characters to interact with. It could be just a red herring to distract them from something else. There's also this very cool, very useful magic circle. So something like this, you'll find magic circles on the floor of natural caverns that have been taken over by some cult or whatever. You may also find it in the floor of a defended hallway for leading to a wizard's lab, or perhaps just in the circle, or sorry, on the floor of some apprentice's room. Whatever it may be, your party themselves may want to lay a magic circle. Now you have that to kind of place down and put there on your map or on your terrain. There's a few other things. The main one that I wanted to kind of check out for you guys here was this little tiny kind of inconspicuous glass dome upon a pillow. So this is, if you look in really closely, you kind of can't really make out the detail, but there's a hand, a severed hand holding a little tiny eyeball. Now, that, my friends, is the hand and eye of Vecna. Very powerful artifacts in the D&D lore, like I said, and very terrifying to just have laying about. Now, perhaps Hallister has collected these things. Perhaps he has tried to replicate them, or for some reason or in some way. Either way, this set does come with them. Just very scary thought to have that just laying about for a mad wizard like Hallister just to be playing around with. The next thing, a lot less epic, I guess, but very, very detailed, this wardrobe where the door is actually open. and it's actually filled with a bunch of robes and shirts and things like that, and seems so simple, especially after the Hand of Vecna is talked about. But I mean, like, the detail and the innate carving is just beautiful for this, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I appreciate this, and I like this more than the Hand of Vecna on the pillow there. Like, it's kind of hard to see the hand, it's not very big, you can't see much, but this thing is got some weight to it. It has very nice, unique carved tops. I love the carvings, and the fact that these wardrobe doors actually pop open. And like now when your party is kind of investigating wardrobes or investigating the room, you can actually have them pop open the doors and go rummaging about. Looks like some books are in there, and yeah, some robes or cloaks. Very, very cool. Here we go. So here's the pseudo dragon on a perch. Now this one was a very cool ad as well. I do have a pseudo dragon miniature, but I guess this is one that has been maybe used as a familiar or some sort of pet, and it's been trained to kind of hang about and lays about on this perch of his. Again, the detail that on these smaller ones is pretty crazy, pretty good detail. You can see where the red of the pseudo dragon kind of ends and the brown of the perch begins. Yeah, very cool. The ridges on the wings there. You know, something small, but again, really cool ad. Some of these premium set figures have mostly been like bigger individual sets, or sorry, pieces. This was a bigger one that has multiple kind of rowboat, treasure piles, sandbars, things like that. But this premium set for the Dungeon of the Mad Mage was kind of a different, unique one. The one previous was the City of the Dead, I believe, for the Dragon Heist. Which, if I was comparing the two, I would say that this one gives you a little bit more bang for your buck. That's okay, it's fine. So, if there's anyone that will be purchasing this, I would, a little bit of advice is be careful pulling these out. They're in there pretty well, and I tugged a little bit on the support here and kind of pulled it out of place. But that's okay. So it's kind of an oversized hourglass. So if you want to seem ominous or have them question what's going on kind of when they enter the room, you can have this just kind of dropping the sand away, ticking time away. Perhaps it's counting down for the reinforcements, perhaps it's counting down for a spell. Either way, it really fleshes out the room and gives it its own unique kind of feel. And like I said, no one likes when it feels like the dungeons are just sitting there on pause waiting for the characters to show up. And if the rooms don't necessarily make sense and fit well together or like have any purpose, sometimes it can get old and just an endless dungeon trek through the same hallways, the same 20 by 20 rooms with the stone walls, and if you can actually give them a purpose and flesh them out for as why they are here, who's here living here, who's been living here, and who's what they're using it for, it definitely adds a lot more depth to the character that's running it, or the creature who's put together the dungeon, whatever it is. It makes it seem like it's a lot more realistic, even in a fantasy world where nothing seems realistic. It gives them purpose, gives them a reason. So this is apparently an active shield guardian. So perhaps there's an artificer or just some sort of tinkerer wizard working away trying to fix this shield guardian. So again, just on kind of like the lab work table, workstation, in kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein way there. Perhaps some sort of wizard is trying to put his body or a soul, maybe it's a soul of a dead friend or whatever it is, maybe they're trying to put their soul or their mind into this body so that they're less fleshy. Wizards are kind of squishy. If you can put the intelligence of a wizard inside the body of a shield guardian, I don't know, maybe that could be a formidable opponent. These things are kind of a pain to get out of. But here we go. Again, the detail in such a small, simple thing. So just a table covered in candlestick, and it looks like potion vials and maybe inkwell. It looks like their quill laying there on an open book. Yeah, little box with a 6-pointed star, skull on top of a stack of books, and there I go dropping it. But the different colors just on this little miniature, it all pops out nicely. It's a cluttered mess, perhaps as you would expect from a eccentric wizard. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a little bit bent there. I don't think that was from me. I think that was kind of the way it was. But again, these molds oftentimes come a little bit misshapen, but no big deal. I really appreciate the depth that it adds to the rooms. I can use this on almost any room that would have any scholarly person, really, like anyone that could read or write could have a table like this. Mostly wizards or sorcerers, and in this case, Hallister Blackcloak, the Mad Mage. So yeah, we've gotten to the point, and I say we because my whole house is contributing to this collection. It's me, my 2 brothers, and my fiance. We've gotten to the point in our collecting where we're more interested in, you know, the accents, the terrain, or the furnishing that we can put within our dungeons. So a stack of books in the corner of a crazy mad mage would be perfect to add. You know, even we're waiting on a brick of, I apologize, Dragon Heist. And at first when we started collecting, we weren't really into it. A lot of NPCs, town guards, things like that. But now we've gotten to the point where that's exactly what we need to fill out our towns, our maps, whatever it is some NPCs or some town guards and some even some extra player characters, because at first it was all monster. Now we're trying to flesh out our game, fill out our table. And I guess these couple corpses, preserved corpses, so it seems like they've been in some sort of embalmment, and they're being worked on, perhaps watched to see how they decay, or whatever kind of sick and twisted reasoning someone would have a preserved corpse to test on, right? So again, just small little things you can add into your game that can really add life and just add more things for your characters to walk up to, or your players to walk up to and investigate. I've been adamant about having these terrains so that your players can actually initiate traps or trigger events, encounters, without you having to prompt them, right? You can have them wander around the room and kind of say, oh, well, what's this? Or what's that? And, well, okay, we'll go investigate. And, well, you walk up to this bookshelf. Oh, well, let me take a look at the dragon skull. And, you know, they touch it and perhaps it's trapped, or perhaps it opens a side secret door. Whatever it is, you don't have to necessarily just say, hey, what's your passive perception? Or can you give me an investigation roll? You can just have them kind of investigate themselves. Kind of, as much as you shouldn't intertwine the character and the player, like, it's also nice to have them feel like what they do is actually causing effects within the game. So really cool detail here. Dragon skull, looks like a blue dragon with a big horn on the front. Again, looks like some sort of globe, bunch of books here lining the shelves, some pots, skulls, vials. Again, very, very useful in Hallister's laboratory, sure, but many, many other dungeons and rooms. So there's a few other cool smaller ones here, like I believe this is the Familiar Cage, which, I mean, I'm not too sure, but you can imagine it's some sort of little closet or demonic, or imp, whatever it is, even an owl, familiar, just locked up in there, and perhaps they're not as well trained as the pseudo-dragon and not so willing to just hang about. They need a cage to kind of keep them where you want them. Also here, oh jeez. So once again, be careful, because I just popped this little lantern out and I almost lost it. But cool little detail here, nice and gold, and it has that like opaque, semi-transparent glass there to show that there's obviously some sort of interior to this. Very, very cool. And to go along with the lighting of the rooms is these standing candles. So again, maybe not necessarily in every dungeon or anything like that, but in a room where it would have someone reading or writing into the late hours of the night, you would need some sort of light source, perhaps magical, but otherwise very simple, and some candles on a candlestick. So, all in all, there's also the table here. So, a less cluttered and empty table here. So this one, again, more usable, kind of anywhere, interchangeable in any kind of setting. Can have it in the bars, whatever it is. But all in all, the Halloster's lab set is very, very unique. It adds a lot of stuff that I believe is very useful to any DM, especially ones that are really late stage and really into maps and full-on tabletop visual maps and things like that. Then this premium lab set is amazing. Really, really, really cool. Magic Circle, amazing. Epic things like Hand of Vecna and Eye of Vecna. So as a DM, you can do what you will with that. A lot of the other stuff's really interchangeable with a lot of low-level settings. That one kind of a high level. Do what you will as a DM. See what your party will do. So the final box we have to open here today is a very, very amazing one that I've been looking forward to for a while. They just recently became available again, pre-painted. I was looking at the Kraken for a while, unpainted, and just because the price point was a lot better, but this one finally came out and was not too much more, so we all decided to just go ahead and do it. We know we're starting some sort of pirate or seabound campaign soon that I will be DMing, so I thought, you know, what better way to scare my party than to have them watch me unbox this and just sit there and wait and think, oh, when is he going to drop it on us? But yeah, this was from the Icons of the Realms Monster Menagerie 3 release, and this is the premium set figure that was absolutely mind-blowing when I heard the list. So it is, well, first of all, before I get to all the other stuff, let's just take a moment and appreciate this Kraken, like the base of it, the center of it, what you want to talk about, whatever you want to call it, sorry, is extremely heavy, extremely detailed, and extremely scary. For any fan of D&D, you know how powerful a Kraken is, and again, it's one of those things to describe. Tentacles pop out and grab the bow and wrap it up and break the mast, wave crashing down upon you, and you look up and you see this big tentacled face. Looks like a giant oversized fish with, you know, kind of these straggling things on its neck and fins on its back, and or you can just drop this down and let the thud kind of set the mood and let your characters or your players just panic as they try to squirm and figure out quickly what are they going to do against the Kraken. So right off the bat, the water, I love the paint job on it. It looks like it's almost just like a few different tones of blue going through, and it just makes that crashing wave like very, very realistic. You really believe that this thing's kind of jumping out of breaking the surface of this water and causing this kind of tidal wave to crash over you and your boat. And then up to this Kraken with its mouth open, waiting to take a chunk out of something. Yellow eyes, amazing detail all the way along the fin, kind of facial features here. You can see the fish-like skin on it. It's kind of, it's not really scaly, but almost like a dinosaur in certain ways. But the spines coming here off the back, all the way down. Amazing, amazing detail. The ridges kind of like along its ribs, and then that big formidable chest. Ridges all the way along it. again, this is something that you're not going to pull out at every party, at every opportunity, but when it does come out, putting this thing on the table is really gonna bring it to life. If your parties or your DM or anything like me or mine, then you definitely appreciate when you can drop a miniature on the table and kind of have your characters and your players kind of gasp or panic and wonder, what are we gonna do? And this thing is definitely gonna accomplish that. So this also comes with, so let me just get it right here. Yeah, so 6 total tentacles. And it also has these couple sandbars and a rowboat. And they throw in a treasure chest and a pile of treasure as well, to kind of lure your party into a rowboat, perhaps, off your regular bigger ship, and have them brave the waters, only to be maybe intercepted on the way, or perhaps on the way back to the ship. Suddenly they see these tentacles burst around their larger ship and kind of start ripping it apart. You know, so it can be a very cool scene with the right setup. And this little boat with the little oars is a great way to set it up. You know, plant something out there that's going to cause your party to have to kind of take off from their bigger ship. Perhaps there's rocks, you're too close to inland, too close to shore, sorry, and you have to go rowboat in. Well, here it is. Hop on in the water. The point is, they do actually go in there, and you know, the detail on this too makes it look very, very, very realistic. You can see the kind of ridges in there. That's not just a paint job, that's actually lines grooved in there. So, you know, you could imagine, and this pops up, ooh, it's not gonna be a fun time. But, you know, on their way back, they see these 6 tentacles suddenly burst out from the ground and curl and wrap around the front of the boat and wrap up even further and pull down the mast as the wave crashes over the edges. You know, they recommend that this goes with, I believe, the Falling Star ship, which is again an amazing miniature that I cannot wait to get my hands on. But I've seen it set up before where you have this kind of wrapping up around the ship there, and it kind of fits perfectly with that other miniature. So in due time, I'm sure I'll be unboxing it in front of your eyes here. But for now, I get to enjoy these beautifully crafted and painted tentacles and Kraken and rowboat. So again, the base of these has this kind of very cool looking water, again signifying the power, the force that this thing's kind of shooting out of the water with, right? These creatures are no joke. Not lightly does this thing show its head above water. Usually it's just, you know, tentacles come up and rip the boat down, whatever's coming close to, I guess, causing it problems or becoming an annoyance. So you could even just have some low-level parties kind of interact with these tentacles. Perhaps they get pulled down, or they witness a ship get pulled down with them. And later you can reveal what was really nearby, and what now they have to fear is the Kraken. But yeah, each one seems to have a very unique design and curve to them, which would make sense. I mean, these things are wriggling around. They're not going to come out in uniform hooked shapes, so they're all in different S-bends and hook shapes and things like that. Just again, it shows the level of detail that's given into them, put into them, sorry. All the ridges, very natural looking with the body of it. And all of them with those very, very, very beautiful water bases. A couple more things here just to quickly open up so you guys get to see it all. Looks like this is just a little treasure chest. I was able to get my premium set figure for the Esmeralda's campsite, so that did come with a few treasure chests, but this one is actually a different design. It seems more of like a sea design, like a pirate design sort of a thing. Find it buried, flat top, iron welds on it, crisscrossing. Got the handles to carry it onto your boat. So, you know, you see an island and you spot something that draws your attention, and you get to go down onto the shore there and dig up. Oh, look at that, you got a treasure chest full of gold. Well, that's amazing. Let's load it onto the rowboat, boys. Onto the rowboat it goes, and out into the sea, back towards your ship. I'm sure there's nothing waiting for you there. So, you know, this is the twisted thoughts of a DM, just opening up and kind of thinking of different ways to throw these miniatures at my party. Which, as they know already, anytime I buy something new or we get to open up something new, I always think of ways to throw it into our campaign. Hopefully not too prematurely. You want it to happen organically, so when it happens, it feels like it happened naturally and part of the campaign. You don't want to just kind of shove every square into a circle sort of a thing, right? But yeah, so this little treasure chest pile, skeleton, like little accent to maybe the island that it has this treasure chest that's attracting your party, whatever it is. If you're out on the sea, chances are you're going to be coming across treasure, skeletons, rowboats, I guess krakens. So I'm guessing this is just sort of like a base for it all. Oh, I guess these are the sandbars. So I guess I was expecting maybe a little bit more, but how can I complain? The kraken, the rowboat, the treasure chest, it's all absolutely so well detailed. These are more of just a quick little throwdown, add on to your battle map, so that maybe they're coming up to the shoreline and you can actually represent the muddier, sandy area that leads into your map that you have set up, your encounter on the island. All in all, these premium set figures are definitely worth the money, worth the buy, especially if you're at the point like we are, where you're looking to kind of add the extra little bits and pieces to your campaign, to your encounters and terrain maps. You can go with something as crazy and epic as the Kraken or the Eye and Hand of Vecna, or you can keep it a little bit more grounded with something like the very powerful, still, don't get me wrong, and very iconic Treant. Many might think of Treebeard as soon as they see that, and that's definitely the influence that inspired these creatures. They just aren't called Ents, unfortunately. But yeah, so from that type of thing to the little wardrobes and tabletops with the cool detailed books and potions, all the way to the rowboat as well. These are definitely cool additions to any Hoard, and I am happy to unbox them in front of you here today. So thank you for watching, and I hope you like and subscribe if you want to see more content, and I'll do my best to get more up for you as soon as possible. Again, thanks. Have a good night.